My name is Benjamin Akina. I was born in Uganda in 1942, at the time when Africa was completely in turmoil. The people who rule us were leaving the country. The rulers that they educated were taking over. There's a proverb in Africa, or in my culture, which says that sometimes people wear the foot of the same elephant that has trampled them when they wake up in the hospital. And this is exactly what I would describe the ruler of Africa when they took over from the colonials. Instead of thinking about Africa as ourselves, our country, and what we can do for ourselves, they wore the shoes that the colonials left them, and they carried on with what the colonials did. It is a very sad issue, but this continued, and the result, within the next 10 to 15 years after most of the colonials have left, Africa was in turmoil. There was fighting everywhere. The Europeans were telling them what they should do. They were taking money from the Europeans and trying to suppress their own people. The money were being given to them in the form of gifts, telling them that this is what you should do to make your people develop. They did not particularly understand what development is all about. All they know is that we have to carry on as the European left with us without changing anything. The African common man was hungry for change. He wanted to see the road built. He wanted to have clean water. He wanted to see a good living standard. But those who ruled us in those eras did not mean to help us. The health services were completely decimated because of the Civil War. Towns were burning. People were dying. And those who had the power were either running away from Africa, coming to Europe or America, or they were still there, taking as much as they can. In other words, the colonials were rejoicing because they were getting everything without having to be blamed for it. They were blameless because now Africa is a government. The African governments are being run by the Africans. The African people are the ones suppressing their own people. Why should we now be blamed for what they are doing? What they were after and what they got when Africans were busy fighting each other was the wealth. They enslave us. I call it enslavement at source. They did not bring us back to Europe. They enslave us in Africa, make us work for them. And work for them we did. 20 years after most of the Europeans left Africa, Africa was still suffering. It was bleeding. We could not even think for ourselves. We could not even make a simple thing like a needle to sew our clothes. We were dealing or depending on aids. Aid is a very good thing. It makes you eat something. But aid without being taught that depending on aid will destroy you is nothing. If Africa stopped taking aids, or in those days they stopped taking aids from the colonials and said, look, we are not going to continue taking aid. We must learn to carry on and develop our country. Maybe Africa will be a better place up to now. Bye-bye.